Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. You guys know the deal. We have a fight this weekend. UFC Abu Dhabi, if that's how you want to say Abu Dhabi. I believe it's going to be televised on ESPN2 and ABC. So for you MVPs out there who want to watch it, please, it'll be on regular TV. You can also join us on the Discord server, and I'll be providing live commentary and giving you guys live betting advice. But before we get into the card, let's talk about last week. Last week hurt really bad. I dominated the prelim. You guys see it there. Accurately predicted Bruno Brazil would beat Molly McCann. I felt really good about it. Unfortunately, when you start looking at the main card, I put all my faith in the wrong person. And that's the reality of life, right? Just like your ex-wife cheated on you, I put all my faith in Leon Edwards, and he cheated us out of a significant amount of money. On the flip side, if you go and watch the video, MVPs, where I talked to you guys about the final fight card, and I said one thing very clearly. I said, hey, make sure you guys diversify your bets. Round robin, if you will, the locks and things of that nature. Protect yourself. Don't be completely dependent on one fighter doing good. Because if they don't, then you lose all your money, right? So I said that, but I didn't go and change the chart. I did round robin the picks, and I did do certain things with the locks. Unfortunately, the other lock that I chose to do that with was the Loughran lock. And that one obviously missed because he's a bum. So, Loughran, Edwards missed. That really hurts. Missing two locks on the same night really hurts. And we missed every single parlay for the first time in 2024. That's right. I've picked every single fight card all year long. And that is the very first time that's ever happened to us. What an unfortunate time for it to happen. I believe I lost 6 MVPs that night. That hurts. If you don't know, an MVP could potentially give you anywhere from $255 to $300 a year. So I lost essentially $1,800 right there on the spot. That hurts. I don't take this decision making lightly, and I try my best. So here we are. It's a new week. We're still alive. We're okay. And we got college football season coming up. I'm getting ready for that. Shout out to all the MVPs. If you didn't know, you see these tabs down here at the bottom. Yeah, one says 2024 futures bets. The other says 2024 week 0 and 1. Yeah, we have those picks ready to go. I've been cooking those for about 2 weeks now. We're going to keep working it and getting ready. But here we are, Abu Dhabi. Here's the fight card. Let's pull it up and let's talk about it. The very first fight of the night, Sedrique Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. And we'll start with Denis Tiuliulin. Denis Tiuliulin here is a 10-9 fighter. First and foremost, 10-9, and you're still in the UFC is pretty crazy. But what's even more crazy is the dude kept losing, and they just kept giving him more and more difficult opponents. This will be the first time they're dialing it back a bit. If we look at his fight record here, getting to the UFC, he loses in his debut by submission. No shame in this loss. Chris Riev, his latest fight was a no contest, but that dude is still undefeated. He's a really good fighter. Shout out to that Russian. Beating Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett's a scrub. Everybody beats Jamie Pickett because he's not a very good fighter. Losing to the Iron Turtle to Park here, that's a little dangerous. And that one really kind of woke me up. If you guys don't know, that loss to Park, I believe it ended this man's career. I don't even worry about these knockouts. This loss to Park is so brutal. Park gets a takedown, trips him at the cage, gets into the mount, full mount. And Denis doesn't know what to do if somebody's mounted him. It doesn't have a clue what to do when somebody's mounted him. You don't see him pushing off on the knees to try to shrimp back to guard, to try to get in a better fight position. Me being an MMA fighter, an instructor for martial arts, and a coach for the last 20 years, I would have lost my mind watching that man fight in the cage. I can't be his coach. I'm throwing him out of the gym. That's not a real fighter. I'm sorry, the graphic's opposite of what I'm doing. That's not a real fighter. Okay, you can ask any of my students. If somebody's mounted on you, you might eat a punch or two, but you got to get those knees down. You can't let them get to your armpits. You got to do something, bro. Rotate around. You got the cage there. Run off of it. Do something. But we can't sit there and let this man full mount you, start to beat the hell out of you with elbows, and then eventually you go to your belly, and it's a rear naked choke. And when I see the rear naked choke, no fundamentals whatsoever. Not trying to peel the top arm, not trying to spin around to your back. I mean, just not protecting your tuck your chin, for crying out loud. Do something. Turn your head. Don't let the elbow get aligned with your chin. Do something. Protect your carotid arteries. Anything. There is no instinctive survival instinct. That's what I meant to say. There's no survival instinct when I look at Denis Tiuliulin. And he looks like he works out. He looks like he punches and trains. I know he trains at Couture and all that. I just don't buy it, man. And then they give him RoboCop after that loss. Like you got annihilated, and they give you RoboCop, and you get knocked out. Literally landed 1 or 2 punches. We should have seen this coming. The CLD fight, I did pick CLD to win that one. This was back in 2023. Still, a complete fish. Getting knocked out again. So one thing you'll notice is he's 0-4 in submissions. He is terrible. He's been submitted by submissions in the regional scene. He is terrible on the ground. So if this ever goes to the ground, Denis is a liability. I don't think he's a very good fighter. I don't think he has the greatest chin anymore. I don't know anything about, yes, he has a puncher's chance like most people do. I got it. He's got 9 TKOs. Do you guys understand that with 9 TKOs and 10 wins, that means only one of his wins is by decision, and it was the very first one after 2 rounds? He doesn't win unless he knocks somebody out. Betting on somebody like this to knock someone out is absurd to me. That's not a bet to make. I can't go there, okay? On the flip side, SD, Sedrique Dumas, somebody I tremendously despise. I know he's been arrested for domestic violence. I will never get down with this guy. But listen, I'm not here to give you my opinion on somebody because I like them or don't like them. I have to cap it. I have to give you the advice for gambling purposes. I will never tell you to bet on somebody that I would never be cheering for. So, I'm not cheering for this dude, okay? But something that people don't realize is the Reaper is not a knockout artist. He's not out there to take your head off. He's not any of that stuff. This dude is he's a grappler. He doesn't know it, but he is. It's his skill set, and it's actually something that he's naturally evolving to. They tell me he trains with Phil Rowe. Kind of makes sense. But this is a guy who lives in Pensacola, drives 7 hours to go train in Orlando. At least he used to. Yeah, that's not the right answer. I've done that drive. It's a terrible drive. I don't think he's dedicated to the craft. And if he is recently, more power to him. But when you start losing to Josh Freem by submission, Josh Freem has some of the I don't understand that at all. But go back and watch these fights with Cody Brundage and Abu here, and you see a guy who can wrestle. You see a guy that actually, Cody Brundage gets a double leg takedown. Perfect to start the fight. And then Cody Brundage, literally, I'm talking 10 seconds in, double leg, shoots it, blast, boom, takedown. And Cody Brundage is dumbass, tries to do a guillotine from the mount. And it slips off his head, and now you're on your back. And when I watch Sedrique Dumas, he's in your guard, and Cody Brundage just keeps it closed. And just keeps it closed and just tries to control posture and minimize damage. And then eventually, Cody Brundage gets up again and shoots another guillotine for the takedown. And it's something people need to understand. When you see fighters pulling guillotines from the mount or trying to start a fight with a guillotine, it's like jumping guard. And I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but it means that fighter isn't comfortable with MMA. Let me just say this to you. In my years of experience, when I have someone in the gym, someone on the mat, and they start pulling guard or they jump a guillotine, you straight up have a guillotine in the standing, and they jump guard with that guillotine, they're not comfortable with MMA. Because you could just squeeze it, pull it up, and hip in while standing. As long as you're the taller guy, you can get it done. So when I see Cody Brundage doing that, I'm just letting you know. I know what that means. That means you don't want to get hit. That means you're afraid to get hit. That means you are fighting scared, and you're not comfortable with being in the cage. So when I see fighters do that, I just know that they're not built for this, and Cody Brundage isn't built for this. So that in itself is there. But more importantly, when I watched SD fight Freemed, he looked like a fish out of water. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing on the mat, and therefore he got submitted. When he fights Cody Brundage, he looked really, really good wrestling. He looked improved like crazy. Okay? And when he fought Abu, he looked like he knew what he was doing. And I like that you're 28 years old, you're learning, you'll get better every single time we see you in the cage. You're a better fighter. I love all that stuff. But there's obviously levels to this shit. So when he fought Nursultan Ruzabayev, I came on here. You go back and watch the video. Go to Patreon. Just go to the homepage and search. And just search Dumas. Search Dumas. And the video will come up. And I tell you guys, no, it's a lock. Ruzabayev's beating this dude. and it was like a minus. I think Ruzaboyev was a minus 250 favorite, and I said, "Oh, lock that shit. We're gonna parlay it with this," and I think we hit pretty big. It was the fight right before Chris Weidman won, and I told you Chris Weidman would win by points, and he was a plus 250 underdog. I just knew that night we were on. Except for Blanchfield. Blanchfield wasn't on, but the rest of the fights we were on. And what I'm trying to say is, like, Ruzaboyev had 50 fights under his belt, and he's dangerous, and he's 6'5", and he's a great striker and a really, really good wrestler. It was a different level, and Dumas didn't belong fighting up there. That's not what Dumas is fighting here. Like, when you see Denis Tiuliulin, and you go, well, it's a step down in competition because he's going from Park, Rodriguez, CLD, to Dumas. It's a step down in competition. This guy's great because no. This was a sacrificial lamb for all those guys. This man isn't that special, and he hasn't beat anybody worth talking about. No, his only win in the UFC is Jamie Pickett, and that doesn't impress me. Outside of that, his last win was on the regional scene. Okay, this isn't a very good fighter at all, and I really don't think people understand how much Dumas has improved in wrestling, and I think he'll be able to get a takedown. I think he's a threat to get a submission in this fight. I really do. Now, it's probably going to go to decision, but I just feel like over rounds or submission are both very viable props on this thing. So when you pull up the fight card, I'm not going to put any of that on the card. If I was betting on this for what it is, I am only suggesting Dumas by money line. The reason it's a lean and not a lock, though, is because I don't think Dumas is dependable enough to parlay with my other locks. Like, I have locks on this card that I really believe in, and you see it. Let's just be clear. You see a lot of this heavy, and when you see heavy odds, it's a chalk-heavy card, meaning you're bound to make some money, but somebody's going to miss here. It's a chalk-heavy card, meaning a lot of people want to parlay it. If you're going to parlay this card, once again, your parlay should be aiming for plus 100 and just keep flipping your money every bet you make. So put something together and get you plus 100. Something together and get you plus 100. But I feel like Denis Tiuliulin is zero value at plus 172. He sucks, and I don't think he's got that dog in him. And then Dumas is just an unlikable person who's getting better every time he gets in the cage. I think he finds a way to win this fight in dominant fashion. I really do. He could win the fight 30-27. He really could. I don't think Denis Tiuliulin, he'll look the part. He'll throw a couple of wide jabs. None of his punches come down the pipe. Everything's kind of looping, kind of looping, and that's it. You don't get to see much out of this man. I've watched him for 4 fights now. I haven't seen much that makes me think that guy's kick ass. Like, I don't feel that way. So it's who he trains with. People word of mouth who have said Denis is a good guy or a good fighter, and he's tough, and he's 36, and he's a Russian. There's a reason it took him this long to get to the UFC, and he hasn't looked the part. He's just not built for it. That's not what he is. So yeah, give me Dumas to win this fight. Hope you guys become MVPs, and you can see all the other breakdowns. Obviously, this video is always free, but MVPs get the rest. It's been a rough week. We went 9-2. On the Jandaroba and Lemos card just 2 weeks ago. We went 9-2 just 2 weeks ago. You got to remember that, okay? Some weeks are better than others. Some MVPs are better than others. But I wish you guys luck. Hopefully you become an MVP. See the rest of the videos. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.